We're going to start with the least dangerous and work our way to the most dangerous leaders on this list, beginning with Lucky Luciano, New York City, USA. Luciano is often called the architect of modern organized crime in the United States. Operating mainly in New York City from the 1920s through the 1940s, Luciano transformed the mafia from scattered street gangs into a highly organized national criminal network. After the violent Castellamarese War, Luciano helped reshape the American mafia by creating the Commission, a governing body designed to manage disputes between the major crime families. His criminal empire included gambling, bootlegging, prostitution, and extortion. While Luciano wasn't as openly violent as some other bosses on this list, he was extremely dangerous because he modernized organized crime into a sophisticated system that lasted for generations. It's estimated that he has around a dozen ordered murders. Luciano also worked alongside famous gangsters like Meyer Lansky and Bugsy Siegel, helping build a nationwide criminal empire. John Gotti, New York City, USA. John Gotti became one of the most recognizable mafia bosses in American history during the 1980s and early 1990s as leader of New York's powerful Gambino crime family. He rose to power after orchestrating the assassination of Gambino boss Paul Castellano outside a Manhattan steakhouse in 1985. Unlike older mafia leaders who avoided attention, Gotti loved the spotlight. Wearing expensive suits and constantly appearing in newspapers and television coverage, he earned the nickname the Teflon Don because prosecutors repeatedly failed to convict him. Behind the flashy image was a violent criminal empire involved in extortion, illegal gambling, loan sharking, and murder. Unfortunately for Gotti, his confidence eventually became his downfall. FBI investigators secretly recorded incriminating conversations through hidden wiretaps, and his own underboss, Salvatore Gravano, later testified against him. In 1992, Gotti was convicted and sentenced to life in prison, where he remained until his death. It is estimated that Gotti had 5 kills as well as dozens of ordered murders. Al Capone, Chicago, USA. Al Capone became the face of organized crime in America during the Prohibition era of the 1920s and early 1930s. Operating out of Chicago, Capone built a criminal empire through bootlegging, gambling, and bribery. During Prohibition, Capone made millions supplying liquor to underground bars known as speakeasies. His organization controlled large parts of Chicago through fear and corruption. The most infamous event tied to Capone was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, when rival gang members were lined up and executed by gunmen disguised as police officers. The massacre shocked the nation and cemented Capone's reputation as America's most notorious gangster. Unlike many mob bosses, Capone embraced fame. He gave interviews, appeared in newspapers, and openly displayed his wealth. But despite years of suspected violence and murder, authorities couldn't make charges stick because witnesses were too terrified to testify. In the end, Capone was finally brought down not for murder, but for tax evasion. He was sentenced to prison in 1931. It's hard to put a number on how many deaths were linked to Capone, but estimates suggest over 100. Matteo Messina Denaro, Sicily, Italy. Matteo Messina Denaro was one of the last major bosses of the Sicilian Mafia and one of Europe's most wanted fugitives for decades. Operating mainly in western Sicily, authorities connected him to bombings, assassinations, extortion, and organized crime operations across Italy. He reportedly once bragged that he had filled an entire cemetery with his victims. What made Denaro especially infamous was his ability to evade capture for nearly 30 years while allegedly continuing to direct mafia operations from hiding. For decades, Denaro became almost legendary in Italy as police repeatedly failed to locate him despite massive investigations. His arrest in 2023 finally ended one of the longest mafia manhunts in modern history. Estimates suggest that there are most likely 50 to 100 deaths that are linked to Denaro. Joaquin El Chapo, Sinaloa, Mexico. Guzman became one of the world's most infamous cartel leaders through his control of the Sinaloa cartel, from the 1990s into the 2010s. He oversaw enormous international drug trafficking operations involving cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, and marijuana. His cartel became feared for its military-style violence, corruption, and influence across Mexico and beyond. But El Chapo became globally famous for something else: his dramatic prison escapes. In 2001, he escaped from a maximum security prison, reportedly hidden inside a laundry cart. Then, in 2015, he stunned the world again by escaping through a mile-long underground tunnel complete with lighting, ventilation, and even a motorcycle rail system connected directly to his prison cell. These escapes humiliated the Mexican government and turned El Chapo into a near-mythical figure. After evading capture for years, Guzman was eventually extradited to the United States, where he was sentenced to life in prison. El Chapo has been connected to over 1,000 deaths, but these numbers could potentially be a lot more. Pablo Escobar, Medellin, Colombia. Pablo Escobar was the founder of the Medellin cartel and became one of the richest and most dangerous criminals the world has ever seen. During the 1980s and early 1990s, Escobar controlled a huge portion of the global cocaine trade, smuggling billions of dollars worth of drugs into the United States and beyond. But what truly made Escobar terrifying was his willingness to wage open war against the Colombian government. He ordered bombings, assassinations, kidnappings, and terrorist attacks against judges, journalists, politicians, and police officers. One of his deadliest acts was the 1989 bombing of Avianca Flight 203, which killed dozens of civilians. Escobar lived by the phrase, "silver or lead," meaning people either accepted his bribes or faced death. At the height of his power, Escobar's wealth became almost unbelievable. Stories circulated that he burned stacks of cash just to keep his family warm while hiding from authorities. After one of the largest manhunts in Colombian history, Escobar was finally killed in 1993. Although officers suggest that Escobar is linked to around 4,000 deaths, former members say that it could in reality be over 10,000, making him by far the most dangerous leader on this list.